Just before I came up here, Dennis said, I hate to tell you, Chris, but you have to follow that. This is called Beyond Violence. That's the theme of the night. As Dr. Lafayette was telling us, on April 4th, 1967, in this historic church, Martin Luther King gave what might be one of his less known speeches, Beyond Vietnam, a time to break silence. And at that time, people were asking Dr. King, why was he speaking against the Vietnam War when he was a civil rights leader? And he explained that the violence of racism, the violence of poverty, and the violence of war are intertwined. Dr. King describes the meaning of his title, Beyond Vietnam, this way. The war in Vietnam is but a symptom of a far deeper malady within the American spirit. And if we ignore this sobering reality, we will find ourselves organizing about Guatemala and Peru, Mozambique, and South Africa. We will be marching and attending rallies without end unless there is a significant and profound change in American life and policy. More than 40 years later, the U.S. is about to send more troops to Afghanistan, and the malady Dr. King diagnosed has not been cured. We find ourselves in a very difficult moment with real dangers, recession and unemployment, wars and armed conflicts, growing fanaticism and nuclear weapons, which are dangerously out of control. These things affect us all, and the way forward also depends on us all. In this moment, nonviolence takes on new meaning. It becomes more than an effective tactic for protest. It's an intentional direction that has to do with our human future. And it's a moral position that speaks to all levels of existence, from our most intimate personal beliefs and relationships to the political and economic systems. These systems are violent, since a minority uses the social whole for its own benefit with devastating results, and human progress is detained. So we need deep social change, a nonviolent revolution that transforms the systems that are suffocating human beings. We need to change the absurd arrangement where capital keeps all the profits and all of the decision-making power, leaving the workers whose labor has produced the wealth with nothing. We need to build the mechanisms of real democracy so that party politics and the powerful interests that finance candidates can no longer dictate policy and negate the free expression of the will of the people. To make these changes, we need to organize. Of course, many forms of organizing are possible. The humanist movement strives for simultaneous personal and social change, and it works with 5 organizations that share the common goal of overcoming all forms of violence and discrimination, and building a society that responds to human needs. It works together with other groups in an open model of converging diversity. This march is a good example of that type of action. I invite you to join us. On the table back there, there's a very nice material that talks about the different organizations of the humanist movement and what they work on. Toward the end of his speech, Dr. King warns, in this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. The world is changing much faster than we realize. A few weeks ago, the march passed through Berlin on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. People remembered that when the wall fell, it came as a complete surprise because it had seemed impossible right up until the moment that it happened. And they asked, what things do we consider impossible now that may be within reach? Eradicating poverty, abolishing nuclear weapons, ending wars. New winds are blowing. The World March is capturing and riding that spirit, which is also moving in other places and other ways. Let's do the impossible. Let's build a world made for human beings and their development. Let's build a world that's nonviolent in the deepest and broadest sense. Let's move beyond violence. On January 2nd, about a month from now, the World March will arrive at the Park for Study and Reflection in Punta de Vacas, Argentina, bringing all of the hopes and all of the experiences we've shared during these 3 months and before. I invite you all to join us there. Maybe it seems impossible, but when the World March was first proposed more than a year ago, a lot of people said, that's crazy, it's impossible. And yet here we are. So, I would simply like to end by thanking the extraordinary team of international marchers who have moved mountains in order to be able to make this journey, and also the thousands of organizers who have made this march a reality all over this world we share. Thank you very much.